Hey, if I had a Pokemon typing, I would be Fire Fairy because it sounds cool, Savi. With Halloween just around the corner, I want to talk about creepy, weird Pokedex entries. There are over 1,000 Pokemon, so I'll only focus on one Pokemon from every generation. For those unaware, every Pokemon gets a Pokedex entry. Every game's Pokedex interface will look different, but display all the same key information. Pokedex number, Pokemon name, Pokemon species, type, height, weight, but most importantly, a brief description of the Pokemon. An example of a Pokedex entry in Let's Go Eevee, Alolan Raichu entry states, "It loves pancakes prepared with a secret Alolan recipe. Some wonder whether the recipe holds key to this Pokemon's evolution." So basically, thanks to a special type of pancakes, we're able to get this cute-ass surfing Raichu. Okay, with that being said, let's get started with the Spain-inspired, or according to Bulba Garden, the Iberian Peninsula-inspired Generation 9 Paldea, a brand new addition to the Pokedex, the
Ruinous
Pokemon Dark Grass type Wuchan. Freaky ass looking snail Pokemon. Its viral entry states, "It drains the life force from vegetation, causing nearby forests to instantly wither and fields to turn barren." First off, what a fucking dangerous ass Pokemon. I would never want to catch this thing. You know how many Pokemon are literally just plants? GG's. Okay, I want to share its violent entry since it's so weird. In it states, "The grudge of a person punished for writing the king's evil deeds upon wooden tablets has clad itself in dead leaves to become a Pokemon." A grudge so deep that it literally manifests itself into a Pokemon. There is so much lore to unpack in 2 entries. In a few sentences, it tells us everything we need to know about this Pokemon and a great example of what to expect from the rest of these entries. Let's keep it going with the Generation 8 England-inspired region Galar. One of my favorites from this generation, Firebug, the Radiator Pokemon, Sizzlepea. Its shield entry states, "It wraps prey with its heated up body, cooking them within its coils. Once they're well done, it ferociously nibbles them down to the last morsel." My little guy literally just barbecues his own food on command. That's wild. It's pretty weird since the Pokemon, so you kind of forget that they're still animals and do animal type things like hunt prey to eat. It's just so descriptive. Ferociously nibbles them down to the last morsel. It throws me off. Now from Generation 7, the beautiful Hawaii-inspired region Alola. Again, shout out Alolan Raichu, but the Ghost Fairy type, the disguised Pokemon, the sickest design ever, Mimikyu. Its Ultra Moon entry states, "A gust of wind revealed what hides under this Pokemon's rag to a passing trainer, who went home and died painfully that very night." Mimikyu's whole gimmick is that it wished it was a Pikachu, so it made a disguise to look like one. It hates the way it looks so much that any glance at it will cause a very painful death. At first read, since it's a ghost type, maybe it put a curse on the trainer, but if you read the other entries, it will state, "Mercilessly seek revenge." So yeah, death ended that trainer with his ghostly hands. Talk about an out-of-pocket entry. Despite that, I freaking love Mimikyu and would want one. On to the next one, Generation 6 France-inspired region Kalos. A psychic type, the restraint Pokemon Esper. Its sword entry states, "Though Esper's expressions never change, behind the blank stare is an intense struggle to contain its devastating psychic powers." Straight up one of the creepiest Pokemon designs. You for sure can tell this thing never blinks, and knowing Pokemon and how powerful a lot of the psychic types and abilities are, to have a dex entry stating intense struggle to contain its devastating psychic powers, this thing is a moment away from ending us all, and that scares the shit out of me.
I want to learn how to blow shit up with my mind.
I definitely don't want this Pokemon anywhere near me. Side note, do you guys remember that weird ass ghost girl from Generation 6? What the fuck was up with that? Anyways, following that from the US inspired region Unova, a ghost type, the coffin Pokemon Coffigregus. Its black 2 and white 2 entry states, "Grave robbers who mistake them for real coffins and get too close end up trapped inside their bodies." It's literally what you think it is. It's a possessed sarcophagus. Its name is even a play on that. People used to hate on Gen 5's literal designs like it's just an ice cream Pokemon, but I genuinely think Coffigregus is a sick ass design. It even gets the ability Mummy. That's so sick. Still, it's basically just a mimic, so don't fuck with Coffigregus. Now Generation 4 Hokkaido inspired region Sinnoh. Poison dark type, the skunk Pokemon with a very similar name, Skuntank. Its legend Arceus entry states, "Sprays a poisonous fluid to take down prey. Sometimes unable to stomach the stench of its own fluid, it leaves the bested prey uneaten." A Pokemon that's just a skunk. This is pretty nasty. Can you imagine being near this smell? It can't even eat its own food because of that smell. It reminds me of that SpongeBob meme, this. That's what I think of when I read this entry. Why would it even capture this Pokemon? Up next is one of my favorite regions, the Trumpets, man. Generation 3 Kyushu-inspired region Hoenn, a water-type Pokemon, the South Sea Pokemon Gorebyss. Its Alpha Sapphire entry states, although Gorebyss is the very picture of elegance and beauty while swimming, it is also cruel. When it spots prey, the Pokemon inserts its thin mouth into the prey's body and drains the prey of its body fluids. A bit of a long one, but just like Sizzlepete, Pokemon are still animals and creepy as hell. Drains the prey of its body fluids, what the fuck? It is such a weird, over-descriptive TMI Pokedex entry that you could really miss it because who the fuck actually uses Gorebyss? I sure as hell don't, especially when they're way better Pokemon like Milotic. Second to last entry, Generation 2 Kansai-inspired region Johto. If you haven't already, Soul Silver and Heart Gold are top tier Pokemon in the games, go play them. Anyways, the water rock type, the coral Pokemon Corsola. Its Emerald entry states, Corsola live in warm southern seas. If the sea becomes polluted, the beautiful coral stalks become discolored and crumble away in tatters. What the fuck, Savi? This entry isn't weird or creepy. It's literally something you could read in an aquarium. It's just coral. Okay, I hear ya. I think this is something unique to only a few Pokemon. An older Pokedex entry foreshadowing something. Corsola is vibrant in colors and design embodies what it is very well. So, Galar and Corsola, its shield entry states, sudden climate change wiped out this ancient kind of Corsola. This Pokemon absorbs others' life force through its branches. Now, this Pokemon literally embodies a real world problem of coral reefs dying due to pollution. And now because of that, Corsola has become a ghost type. Transparent coral, all white with a sad face. Honestly, this design is just sad as fuck. It even gets the ability weak armor into some weak ass coral now. This is what makes Pokedex entries a lot of fun to read. Who knew years later we would get something like this? Finally, last, another twofer, cause why not? A generation that gets all the love, Gen 1, named and based on the Kanto region. Kanto, a psychic type, the hypnosis Pokemon Drowsy. Its Emerald entry states, if your nose becomes itchy while you're sleeping, it's a sure sign that a Drowsy is standing above your pillow trying to eat your dreams through your nostrils. Well, just what the fuck, just the thought of this big ass thing just standing above you like a paralysis demon sucking your dreams through your nose, it's my worst nightmare. It's really just that old wives' tale of the cat sucking your soul while you sleep, but a Pokemon. Creepy as hell. Now, finally, from the same place, Gen 1, Kanto, Psychic type, the Hypnosis Pokemon, the evolution of Drowsy, Hypno, its Fire Red entry states, it carries a pendulum-like device. Once there was an incident in which it took away a child it hypnotized. I bet the Pokemon Company regrets this entry. What do you mean it hypnotized and took away a child? These games are rated E for everyone, but just like a lot of these entries, definitely not for everyone. There are so many creepy images and creepy poses of Hypno because of this entry. For how specific this entry was, I don't think we'll ever get something like that again. The later entries for Hypno just avoid kidnapping entirely. That has been some weird, creepy Pokedex entries. What are some of your favorite Pokedex entries? There are so many Pokemon and ton more Pokedex entries that I definitely missed some. Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this type of video, hit the subscribe button and leave a like. This is Savi, and this has been The Vibes. Bye!